Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have a review. It's actually a review that is of a brand that gets almost no talk on YouTube, mostly because a huge red flag right out of the beginning. They are extremely expensive. That's not the red flag, although it can be a red flag in and of itself. There are some expensive brands that I still hold in high esteem. For example, Roja Dove. His stuff is extremely expensive, but I still really like some of his fragrances, especially because they give a nod to vintage fragrances from the past. This brand is a brand that is overly expensive, even when you're talking Roja Dove standards, okay? And they do not do samples. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, come on. What perfume house doesn't do samples? Well, obviously, a house that is worried that if you smell their stuff, you're not going to spend $4,300 on a fragrance. Yes, this is a $4,300 fragrance. Now, for those of you who are looking at this bottle, and we'll go to the Amaffi website, and you're going to look and say, this is not the bottle that's shown on there. Well, whenever you buy their fragrances, if you read the little blurb, it says that what they'll do is what you're paying for is a 75 ml with all the decadence and the bling. The bottle almost looks like a crystal decanter kind of thing, and it comes in like a Roja Dove box. Like a magnetic looking box with silk around it and all that bullshit. But they also give you a 50 ml travel atomizer, okay? And this house to me is a joke of a house. This is an absolute joke, okay? I didn't even take notes. Like normally I have notes to talk about. There's really no need because I'm just gonna get on here and ramble. I'm gonna try to speak from the heart and just tell you how I really feel. So let me show you something before I even spray. I have not sprayed this all day, okay? It's been sitting here sitting just on my bureau, waiting for me to wear it again today. I've worn this for the last 2 days. This will make 3 days in a row. And it's been sitting upright, okay? I wiped this all down before the video. And look at this. So, I don't know if you can see, but that is juice, all just leaking out of the collar. That is a perfect picture of the brand of Amaffi, as far as I'm concerned. Now, to be fair to the brand, though, the bottle did arrive this way to me. It had a little bit of a dent right there on the corner. And Tim, the guy who sent this to me, I believe it's Tim. If it's not Tim, sorry about that. But my perfume god person who reached out to me and said, hey man, I saw this advertisement for this expensive brand. I bought it and I was like, what the hell did I just buy? I want you to review it because no one on YouTube is talking about the fragrance. And he sent me the travel atomizer deal. So that's why the bottle's a little bit different, but the juice is the same, and the juice is all that matters. But when you're paying $4,300 for a 75 ml and basically a 50 ml travel thing, it should not be leaking like this. In fact, the quality should be much better than this bland, I don't know, boring thing with this little cap. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, if you just take a look, it looks like the atomizer's kind of a little bit crooked there. Look at that. I don't know. I don't know. But I'll read you the blurb and I'll kind of give you my 2 cents. And maybe I'll save someone else from blowing $4,300 on this kind of fragrance. So here is the fragrance. It's called Intrigant. Intrigant for men. And the blurb, according to the website, says, West meets East. Modern. And this is the way it's written on the website, by the way. West meets East, period. Modern male fougères and alliance with oud, period. Elegance and luxury, period. This is reminding me of Unique Luxury vibes. If you watched my Unique Luxury live stream, a lot of the way that it's written reminds me of Unique Luxury, which I despise that brand. Deep, intriguing, all-time fragrance, period. That is the blurb. Deep, intriguing, all-time fragrance, period. That's the sentence. I'm just like, fuck me, man. So 75 mils, concentration 22%. And here's the other blurb. The inspiration. It is a very strong, powerful, masculine note, period. That is literally on the website for a $4,300 fragrance. $4,300. It's a rare case where Eastern and Western preferences in perfume are matching. In this perfume, you are going to have a very masculine fougere type of note with some touch of oud, period. That's it. Okay. So, Nathalie Feistauer is the perfumer. Now, here's my beef with some of these really high-end, expensive brands, is they basically turn into what are known as Veblen goods. People want them just because they're expensive, right? It's like, do you want a Rolls Royce? Of course you do. Why? Because it's a $300,000 car, or whatever they are nowadays. 500 grand, I'm sure they have $1 million Rolls Royces. But people want them because they are expensive. Higher goods are just more desired in society. That is the Veblen good concept. But if you look at Nathalie Feisthauer's perfumes that she has created, and I'm not the biggest fan of her work, I will admit, but she does have some hits that I enjoy. One that's going to be reviewed on the channel very soon, and probably the one that I would most compare Intrigant to. For those of you who are like, you know, there's no such thing as bad press. That's an old adage in the media. There's no such thing as bad press. So even though I'm going to get up here and talk shit about this fragrance, someone may watch this review and be like, shit, now I'm intrigued as to what this fragrance is, right? I want to go smell it myself. So I may be doing this brand a favor, even though I'm going to bash the hell out of this fragrance. But if you've ever smelled Honour Man by Amouage, Honour Man is a fragrance that she created. It's probably my favorite Nathalie Feisthauer fragrance that she created on her own. So there wasn't a second or third perfumer working in conjunction with her. And Honour Man is a 2011 in release by her, and it's black pepper, pink pepper, geranium, Madagascan, elemi. Elemi is the big thing here. Nutmeg, vetiver, so it's also an elemi, vetiver, and even though there's no oud note in Honour Man, it's an amouage, and there's a frankincense, there's a smokiness coming out underneath. I really like Honour Man. I don't own a bottle, but I probably own 50 or 60 mils of samples. Okay, I got a whole bunch of samples sent to me by a friend. And so if you've ever smelled Honour Man is much more peppery than Intrigant. Intrigant basically has 3 notes. It has elemi resin, oud, and vetiver, okay? And I think that the best way I could describe this to somebody who has never smelled anything from Amaffi, and since they don't do samples, the only way to smell it is to either know someone who has a bottle, and this bottle was sent to me by one of the guys that actually paid $4,300 for the 75 mil and the 50 mil. That's really the only way. Or if someone like makes a decant and sends it to you, the fact they don't do samples is an absolute travesty. It tells you all you need to know about the brand right there. But as soon as this hit my skin, I was like, what is this? Because to me, so first of all, if you know anything about me, you know I love oud fragrances. I love, you know, fake oud fragrances. I love real oud fragrances. I'm not going to be stupid enough to sit up here and say there's no real oud in here, because you know what? Maybe there is. Maybe they stirred the pot with a oud stick and threw it away and they can say there's technically oud in there. Maybe they put 0.0000001% like Fragrance Du Bois did. In or whatever their percentage was. I don't remember, but it wasn't a lot. Whenever the GCMS testing came back, it wasn't a lot. So maybe they did something like that. But to me, this smells like an oud fragrance that would be issued by a house like Creed. Okay, and if you know me, you know I love Creed Royal Oud. That is a fragrance that relies heavily on an oud accord. It smells nothing like the real oud fragrances you're going to get from the artisanal houses, Aramis Havana or Bortnikov. I did a whole Bortnikov week recently. If you really want to dive into my content, check out my Bortnikov reviews, check out my Aramis Havana reviews, check out my Ensar reviews. Those are on another planet. Agar Aura, those are for the people, for the real frag heads. Someone who says for $4,300 I should be getting the most amazing oud on the planet, right? I mean, you could buy like 2 extremely high-end Ensar fragrances for the cost of Intrigant, right? And so the oud in here is done in the style of how you would expect Creed to do an oud. It's very fresh. It's very, it has no barnyard, no fecal, none of that. This is for, you know who I think this would go very well on? I think this would go well on a man who's like a CEO, an executive, someone who makes millions of dollars a year. Spending $4,300 is like going to McDonald's and spending $10 on a meal for somebody. For that person, spending $4,300, they won't even see it on the credit card statement. They'll pay the $100 grand a month in credit cards and just be done with it, right? That is the person that I see spending money on this and enjoying it and wearing it to work. Because that's really what this fragrance is made for. It's made for where they say East meets West. That's really kind of the way that the fragrance smells. And unfortunately, that's it. You know, this fragrance to me doesn't have like a top and a middle and a base. It doesn't really smell like it doesn't smell like there's very much movement. It just almost hits you like you're smelling a note, right? It just smells like you're smelling like a freshened, I'll have to give credit to the Devil Man for coming up with this. He coined the term luxury blob. And I think that's kind of the best way to describe a fragrance like this. It smells like a luxury blob. Does it smell expensive and high-end? Sure. But for a frag head, for someone who loves oud, if you're looking for the real aspects of Cambodian oud or Indian oud or oud from Laos or Thailand or Vietnam or all these, and you like comparing the real ouds, you're down into the artisanal oud houses, you're going to laugh at this. This is going to be like my thumbnail of Oud for Greatness, where I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, right? That's how this wears on me. Now, that being said, because I am Switzerland, I want to be right down the middle. I don't want to be too much on one side or too much on the other. I want to be objective. I did get a compliment wearing this. Someone was like, "Oh my God, you smell so good. I could smell you across the room when you came in." And I was like, really? Normally that happens when you're using a lot of like synthetic amplifying, ambroxans and stuff like that. And there definitely is like a fresh aspect to this, right? I think the Parfum de Marly bros, I think they would love this. The Initio bros, they would love this. The problem is, instead of $430, it's $4,300. So now you're taking the Parfum de Marly bros to the next level. But for me, it's a joke. It's not even a serious fragrance. Everything about it, from the, I mean, you can, I wish the camera would have picked this up. Whenever I pulled this off, juice just flew everywhere. For $4,300, that is just completely unacceptable. And now I've never seen the actual bottle. I've seen it, but I've never actually held it. So maybe they put all the quality workmanship into the bottle and not the travel atomizer. Maybe he dropped it and it hit the side right here, and that's why it's messed up. So I do have to be objective, but from what I'm looking at here, joke. And what I'm smelling, joke. Absolute joke. For me, this is a $500 Creed smell in a $4,300 bottle, right? Like, if you like things like Royal Oud, if you like things like Amouage Honour Man, if you like those fresher ouds, the ouds like that don't have animalic funk or anything like that, if you like Ocularia Blossom by Aramis Havana, that's a real oud though take on with real ambergris and stuff like that. I would probably recommend you try Ocularia Blossom if you like this style of fragrance much more, because that uses real ambergris and real oud and that kind of thing. But that style is kind of where I'm going. That's what you get with this. The Elemi adds a little bit of fresh, but it's not like animalic smoky. It's not dark smoky. It's very fresh, very office friendly, and it just kind of hits you like a note, you know, just like it doesn't have very much top, middle, and base. It just kind of hits you and it stays there. And it stays there for 8 hours or whatever it is. And people said they could smell it on me longer than that. I get about 7 to 8 hours. And by then I'm ready to reapply. It's pretty boring to me, basically. I'm past this type of perfumery. And I think this goes back to the age-old adage and conversation in the frag world, fragcom, of price versus, you know, what you're actually getting. I think a lot of people look at these type of fragrances and they see the price and they're like, there must be something standing behind it. That, why is it $4,300? I must be getting something amazing. But whenever you smell it, you're like, it just smells like they took a fragrance that should have been $50 and made it $4,300, and people buy it. You know, that's just the reality of the situation. There's an old kind of back and forth that Rich Mitch and I have talked about on WhatsApp, where he says, if you put like a toothpick in a window and put it in a store window and marked it for $1,000, somewhere along the line, somebody will come and buy that toothpick. You know, it's just the reality of the situation. There are people out there with just a shitload of money, and that's obviously what this brand is targeting. And their philosophy is fucking hilarious. Like, they have a manifesto on their website. If you want to laugh, just go to the Amaffi website, okay? Here's their manifesto. We are Amaffi. We are here to set the bar high. We are born to revive an extinct sense of refinement. Oh, by the way, of course, they trace their roots back to Napoleon Bonaparte's perfumers, of course. They just happened to be founded just a couple years ago, but we were born. If class is the symphony, we are the conductors, men of power and beautiful women of this world, naturally selected. We are the revealers of new masterpieces. We do not argue, we plot. This is some Assassin's Creed shit. We are not telling you what it is like. We are what it needs to be. We remind the world that fashion is a responsibility, and accessible luxury is just a big nonsense. We are exclusive. We are not for everyone. You're not for me. The embodiment of class, elegance, and culture, and the guardians of these values. We are the best. We are Amaffi. Possesses and rule. Okay? So let's read about the brand since we're on this little kick here. About the brand. Ladies and gentlemen, I take pride in introducing you to the world of Amaffi's exceptional aromas. All our fragrances are created with naturally derived ingredients, and each scent is distinctive and unique. These masterpieces were conceived and developed over a long period of time, sometimes years, in collaboration with the most outstanding international perfumers. I hope you will wear an Amaffi perfume for each wonderful moment of your life. Each time you encounter these scents, you will relive these glorious moments of happiness. I truly believe that once you try our Amaffi perfumes, you will return to them again and again. I won't. Take pleasure in your life, stay beautiful, and enjoy Amaffi perfumes. So, you know, it's interesting though, because I've often wondered, like, now that there are brands that are taking this plunge, and obviously people are buying them, why won't the next brand? And I know there have been some brands, like, for example, Spirit of Dubai put out a fragrance that was like over $1 million or $2 million or something ridiculous. You didn't even spray it. Like, it had a mechanical mechanism that it moved the bottle up into your correct height and it sprayed it for you. Just stupid shit like that, right? But I'm often curious, okay, now there's 4,300. When's the next house going to do 43,000 or 430,000? Why stop there? Just create a fragrance, mark it for 430 grand, see who buys it. You know, that's kind of what it feels like to me. It feels like there is very little substance behind it. They created a website, you know, they had international renowned perfumers. They do give the perfumers credit on the website. Nathalie Feisthauer and Bertrand Duchaufour are the perfumers that I've seen for this brand. But the thing about it is, if you look at Nathalie Feisthauer's other works, it's stuff like this. Like, for example, my other favorite Nathalie Feisthauer, this was a collaboration between Xavier Renard and Miss Feisthauer, is this Aramis Havana. I think I paid $40 for this or something, right? This is a Nathalie Feisthauer, and then you have to ask yourself this question: if if this doesn't smell like the real ouds that I am used to smelling, I'm not saying there's not real oud in here. I'm saying that it doesn't smell like the real oud fragrances, which I have reviewed on the channel. It doesn't give me a Riz Ladore or Bensar or Bortnikov vibes, right? It really feels much closer to the Tom Ford Oud Wood, Versace Man Oud Noir, Creed's Royal Oud. That's more the category that it's in, right? And you're using perfumers who most of her work sells for 50, 100, 150 bucks. The Amouage is 250 or whatever it is. I forget what their pricing is nowadays for Honour Man. Maybe it's 330, maybe it's 350, but it's not 4,300. So if it doesn't smell like you're using real oud, which is the very expensive ingredient, and it's just Elemi and Vetiver, and you're using a perfumer whose most of her work sell for 50, 100, 150 bucks, why is this $4,300? Can you objectively try and explain that to me? Well, we're not for everyone. Well, clearly you're not, because it sounds like a bunch of bullshit to me is what it sounds like. But that's just one Ram's 2 cents. So if anyone has experience with this brand, or if there are others from the brand, I would love to try this. But I do have to give a shout out to my perfume god person who sent me this and said, man, I bought this, I'm well off, I'm not hurting, but I want you to review it so others at least maybe don't make the same mistake that I do, and you can keep the 50 ml bottle as a gift or whatever. I said, sure, bring it on. So I won't be buying anything from this brand, that's for sure, unless all of a sudden I win the lottery. And even then, I probably would not give them my hard-earned money. But I would probably still continue doing the channel because I love doing this for you guys. But if there are other Amaffi fragrances out there, I see they have one called Power for Men. Sounds like a Jeremy Fragrance name, that one. Power for Men is $7,100. So maybe we just went with the cheaper version. Maybe we need to give them $7,100 for Power for Men, also done by Nathalie Feisthauer. So yes. A luxurious, imperious, unique fragrance based on an overwhelming alliance of capricious rose, daring labdanum, and royal patchouli. And that's $7,100. Why? What is that, $10 worth of ingredients? Rose, labdanum, and patchouli? How unique. boggles the mind, okay? It boggles the mind. But anyways, enough about Amaffi. That's my take. I felt like I needed to do this video. Number one, it was a very kind gift and thought. I've been wearing this for the last 3 days. I'm wearing it today as my scent of the day. I did get a compliment on it, but not that I care about that kind of thing. But yes, I mean, it's a house that I guess has to be discussed. It's out there. There deserves to be videos talking about it. I'm just waiting for the one that's like, they start sending out the bottle to the reviewers and they're like, oh my God, the greatest oud I've ever smelled, the best oud in the game. I'm just waiting for that one. The best oud in the game, question mark? It's like, Fragcom, man, what have they become? So, anyways, that's my take. If there are others from Amaffi that you all have tried that you think I should get my schnoz on, do let me know. Intrigant for man goes down as a, for me, this, if I paid this much money for this, I would be pissed. I would be livid. I would be furious. My voice, my anger would amplify through the ages if I paid $4,300 for a 75 mil and a 50 mil. Yes. Anyways, that's my take. You know, I would much rather give my money to Russian Atom or Bortnikov or Ensar. So, anyways, especially if you're going to go in the oud game, you know, if you're going for fine French perfumery, you have Chanel. Chanel's hiked their prices up. I mean, they haven't hiked them to $4,300, but they've hiked their prices over and over and over. I can't wait to try the new Comet. I guess that's how you say it. I think there's an E at the end, but I don't know if that pronunciation changes. But I'd love to try the new Comet by Chanel. So, but yeah, that's the kind of thing that I would probably spend my money on over stuff like this. But anyways, this is for the elite of the elite of the elite. This is for the high end. This is for the, you know, this is for the high, this is at the high roller table. There's no doubt about it. But it just doesn't, for a frag head, I would wear something different. I mean, I wouldn't give them my money. So anyways, if you have experience, let me know. Love to hear your thoughts. I'm sure the comments will be outrageous as usual. As always, thanks for watching. Cheers, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.